Welcome to the bold analysis. I am seeing videos, very disturbing videos about the protest escalating. And the latest update we've had is the fact that Nandi County, Uasin Gishu County, and Nyeri counties have actually also witnessed protests. Now, I want to single out Uasin Gishu and Nyeri. President of Republic of Kenya, William Ruto, comes from Uasin Gishu. So Uasin Gishu is his home county, and Nyeri is where the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, is coming from. These are regions that came out overwhelmingly to vote for William Samoei Ruto under the UDA ticket. And due to that, the leaders in this country for quite some time have been profiling the protests as only those who are supporting Raila Odinga. And I have seen calls for arrest Raila trending. But then what I really wonder here is whether Raila Odinga is in Nyeri. And true to that, Peter Munya is also currently was also holding a press briefing in Meru, and that press briefing, they've been blocked from accessing that. We'll try to look at it. But the protest in Nandi, Uasin Gishu, and Nyeri are actually shocking this country. You know, it is over time, and I think some of us political observers were warning that the protest can actually get out of hand if the situation is not arrested in time. And it's they're spontaneous, but it's building. Last week on Friday, there were no protests in those counties. There was no protest in Nandi and Uasin Gishu. Last week, there was no protest in Nyeri, but there was a protest in Embu, in Meru, and Nyahururu. And you can see the Mount Kenya team, Kioni, Martha Karua, and Peter Munya, are actually now doing something in Meru. So what exactly is going on here? And this is something that actually those that are trying to find ways of finishing or making sure that these protests are actually quelled must then come to understand. The Nyeri are protesting. The majority of those who are protesting are actually matatu operators, and the protest is on the cost of living, the issues of the fuel, and the mandatory retest that was actually stopped by Murkomen just the other day after this protest. We've seen a trend where people are lighting bonfires. And I've seen, that was, and let me just be very truthful here. The second wave of the protests that we were seeing is actually different with the first wave. Because this one we are seeing like everywhere, people are lighting bonfires. Now, can I tell you, ironically, Kisumu is not even seeing a massive protest. There is no massive protest going on in Kisumu. Even in Nyeri and even in Embu. But Nyamira, I'm told video clips from Nyamira are actually really shocking. So I want to speak truth on this. Why the fact that protest is erupting in Nandi, Uasin Gishu, and Nyeri is something that will send shockwaves on Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto. Let me remind you about Sarah's fundraiser that we are finishing today. We lost this beautiful lady here after nearly 1 year on chemotherapy after she was diagnosed with acute lymphatic leukemia. And as members of Bold Family, we supported the family throughout. We supported her on medication and just finding a way that she could get support. But unfortunately, we lost her, and we're just reaching out to you to help in making sure in supporting the family during this moment. She's also left a boy, so we are also figuring out how we can be supportive of during this difficult time. So I want to get back to this. Uasin Gishu, that is a home county to President William Ruto. That is where Eldoret town sits. those areas are protesting. Find out. I know that in many instances, some of these protests are normally pre-organized. But there is that which is pre-organized and spontaneous. William Ruto has intelligence dispatched in almost all the counties. It's one of the mostly funded government agency, by the way. Highly, really handsomely funded government agencies, that NHS. And I know William Ruto will not want the image of protest from his county being in the headline. I'm very sure that the county commission in those places might actually have a problem, might be in problem. But then, is it organized? The answer is no. Azimio do not have a single elected member of parliament in Singishu. Not even a senator, not even a governor. I doubt even if they have an MCA, but I stand to be corrected. I think they don't have. So if it is the political leadership, if it is to be organized, then how could it be penetrated? In Nyeri, there are those who are around this for quite some other, there are those who are in it, even not within the party affiliations, but there are a couple of other supporters of Raila Odinga. Now, this is what William Ruto will see from the protests in these counties. I wish a journalist will ask a protester this question. Especially in this country, are you protesting about the cost of living or about William Ruto? This, what is coming here is, supporters of William Ruto or UDA do not understand and are not buying the narrative of we need to defend William Ruto's legitimacy. In fact, it is a clear signal that Ruto is losing a chunk of his legitimacy. You know why? Yesterday and for the last 3 days, there have been attempts to profile Raila Odinga as a man who wants to dethrone William Ruto. Now, or let me make it straight. The Tumechoka initiative is understood, or rather is being projected as a plan to eject William Ruto from power. Now, these counties, I think if there is where they should enjoy massive support, then these two counties, or Singishu, Nandi, and those 3 counties. Now, if they're coming out to join a protest that has largely been profiled by their own leaders as an attempt to eject Ruto from power, then what are they saying? They're saying it doesn't matter even if Ruto loses the power. So, and it's a very good, it's a very key observation. You just need to be very sensitive enough to get it. That if Raila Odinga is coming out, is calling for protest, and the government machineries are telling UDA supporters that look here, Raila is bringing anarchy and wants to remove William Ruto from power, then even despite of that narrative, people are still coming out. They're simply saying, we are not ready and we are not willing to defend your legitimacy. Secondly, the cost of living is the silent agenda behind the sporadic protests. I will repeat that. I will not get tired of repeating that. You can spin these facts with Raila Odinga in your mind. You can now try to narrow down to Raila Odinga. But the truth of the matter here is, things are tough. Kenyans are finding it difficult. If someone from Singishu can come out and Nyeri, what this is showing you here is very clear. That it is no longer about Raila Odinga. What the government needs to do is to redefine the problem. Understand the problem. It is the cost of living. But then, the cost of living is a huge, is a wider spectrum. It has a very wider interpretation. You just need to find out, what are these people exactly protesting about? I do understand, and I have a feeling that counties like Nyamira, Nyeri, Nandi, they are semi-rural counties. You know, they're not in urban centers mostly. So I tend to think that the majority of those who are protesting may not necessarily be largely those who are staying in urban centers. You know, even saying that those staying in Nairobi are complaining about rent, about food, about this, about transport. But someone in Nyamira, or let me just say someone in Nandi. Nandi is not an urban, is not a largely urban county, urban domiciled county. It's more of a rural county. So if it is a rural county, then what exactly is going on? That those who are even coming out to protest may not be people who are paying rent. These are people that are supposed to do the farming. These are people that are supposed to be in the shamba. But they're not in that shamba, they're protesting. That is an understanding that we should know. Now lastly, the Tumechoka protests, the Tumechoka initiative is actually sinking. Yes, watu wamechoka. That's what they're saying. I wish someone would just understand it as simple as that. Watu wamechoka, and that's why they're coming out to show their vent their frustrations in this. I think what William Ruto needs to do is to calm down. The way they're managing this thing and trying to narrow down to Raila this, Raila that, it's simply not adding up. It's not going to help the situation. I wish hapo juu Kenyans are already increasing the tempers. This is protest 2. How about if the next one is called? What are you going to expect? I think on this one, it might be too early, but again, it's becoming too late to intervene. This one needs an intervention. And I do believe it's not about Raila handshake. I do believe that's about President William Ruto getting it right. Because if his own village mates are protesting, then something is wrong somewhere. Thank you.